Gaming, they did play Sync Esports earlier on in this cycle themselves, in fact, as well, in what was the winner bracket semifinals. So both of these teams, in a sense, are looking for that rematch here, but of course they have to get through one another first. Reason Gaming especially, though, they've been a hot team as of late, and definitely continuing that momentum yesterday, of course, with their victory over Nullstofer. By the way, I don't even know if we mentioned yesterday, but that was the second time they played them this cycle. Of course, they even played them in the first round as well, where they defeated them 2-0. So they played Nullstone quite a bit. They've beaten them twice now, and here they are matched up against Willowkeeper. But how do you see this series playing out? I mean, do you think this is going to overall be a pretty even one here?
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be even, but I think again, like I've said it before, Tree I think they have the potential to be such a strong team. It just depends on what kind of team of Tree we're going to see today. But like you said, Brady, Reason have been looking very, very strong. I think the main thing about Reason Gaming is that they've always had the skill there. They've always had the individual ability to become a top team. I think the strategy and perhaps the drafting was always lacking, but I think Imboy has definitely improved on that. And as a result, now they're becoming a top team once again.
Yeah. That they are. Now, again, yesterday, a little bit of a hiccup for Willowkeeper, definitely, against Sync Esports. They got knocked out by them, or down to the losers bracket, I should say, pretty heavily. That was probably their most disappointing performance against Sync Esports. So, exactly, it's what team are we going to see of Willowkeeper? It is a brand new day, in a sense. Here it is a Sunday. I did see the team as a whole kind of playing in the mid-wars, getting warmed up. So, that was good to see, hopefully for their sake. That means they came here, of course, prepared and ready to play today. But, again, no doubt Reason Gaming has been looking very, very impressive themselves. But we got a draft to talk about here, already in the second tier of bans even. So taking a look. The initial bans, by the way, Parasite, Swiftblade, Cthulhu Fought, and then Clanks coming out from Imboboy. How about that? Taking away the Clanks from Baltazar. He's showing that he can play that pretty well.
I mean, but it's quite interesting, though, because Reason pick up Clanks as well for themselves. But, I mean, I guess they must have just been afraid of playing it, or even perhaps Tree first picking it, perhaps. But I guess they're just going to ban it out here, and I guess it's a solid ban in that respect. But it's quite interesting to see it being first banned, man.
We see a couple heroes kind of falling under that. Yeah, both these teams knowing to play a little bit of Clanks. I'm looking at the second tier of bans, which, by the way, I mean, first we got the pick scores. Puppet Master, Torture, Kraken over here for Tree. We got Magnus, Solstice, and Chipper over here for Reason Gaming. So, actually, well, that's one thing in itself, by the way. Reason Gaming running a jungler, this case, in Solstice. They're usually not. Neither one of these teams known for running a whole lot of jungle. So, that's kind of very interesting right off the bat for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, Nier granted, it is somewhat of a new roster. I mean, Nier and Embry, of course, new to the team. I believe Nier does have jungling experience. We have seen him play that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's perhaps why he's a little bit more of a comfortable jungle player?
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Breaky. Like before, obviously with Saint Rock's, like he doesn't play a lot of junglers. Normally, it was mainly secondary supports, and I guess with obviously the new roster, they have the ability and the versatility to play more strategies, for example. And I think picking up a jungler is less so because of Reason, but more because of who they're against. Tree, normally they always run a secondary support, and if they can pick up the jungler, then perhaps they can get ahead in terms of golden experience, for example. And they might be afraid to run like dual supports against Tree, knowing that Tree might be able to run it better than them. So trying to go a different strategy in that respect, try and beat them that way.
Fair enough right there. Speaking of that secondary support, of course, Blacksmith coming out for Willowkeeper. They've been known to run that as of recently, and picking it up right here with their fourth pick. So I'll see how that works out. But yeah, the point I was going to get earlier, too, I mean, talking about both these teams kind of playing these different heroes that we don't see a whole lot, Clanks being one of them. Valkyrie's another one of those. And Valkyrie is actually banned by Tree here. I mean, Boxy's Valkyrie, pretty well known. But again, Reason Gaming has been playing a little bit of Valkyrie themselves recently, as we even saw yesterday. So another kind of one of these heroes being banned as a result. Hell, even Reason Gaming banning Behemoth. I mean, you're talking about Nier's Behemoth. These two teams are a lot more similar the more and more I'm looking at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to remember, like I think it was last cycle that, I mean, these teams, they scrimmed each other exclusively for like 2 weeks, so they know each other very, very well. Because obviously when Reason dropped down to gold, it was because they faced Tree before that, and even before that they were scrimming against each other a lot. So
that's right.
I guess they know each other like almost inside out kind of thing.
Yeah. Definitely. So, taking that into consideration, no doubt here, of course, Boy, the captain for Reason, and Fusin, the captain for Willowkeeper. Empath coming out here for Reason Gaming. So, don't necessarily have their hard carry yet if they go that route. But Empath, of course, great synergy in general, though. Good support option. Tree going to be finishing off with, we'll see what they go with here.
Most likely Suicide.
Yeah.
I think they like to run Kraken in the solo mid role. And because I know Cracky, like he loves kind of like these sort of tanky sort of heroes. Like one of his favorites, like Armadon, but obviously Armadon's not picked here. But Kraken is a very sort of similar strategy in that respect. So I think it will most likely be Kraken mid with Kraken, and this will be most likely the Suicide. Kinesis is still on the board, something that Box he likes a lot. Madman is also on the board, which I think both of those are a decent pick up here for Tree.
Yeah.
But we'll have to have to see.
Yeah, Madman definitely one of those popular pickups for Willow Keeper, and wouldn't be out of the question here. They do go the Bubbles route, though. Another one of those not out of the question heroes, of course.
Yeah.
One of the most signature heroes on the scene.
Yeah, so that will most likely be a Suicide Bubbles, and it's decent in this matchup as well, because I don't think Reason will run a dual mid either, because Empath's picked up on the board. Empath not really known for a dual mid, and Bubbles is a decent counter against Empath, because obviously he can take cover the Essence link, so a little bit of synergy there.
Yeah.
In terms of why they might have picked it.
Final pick coming out for Reason Gaming, and have about 20 seconds of counting here for that random will hit. I saw that yesterday. Random Voodoo Jester coming out. Ended up doing a remake here, but making sure that they're paying attention to that clock, of course, and confident with whatever their final pick may be. Again, possibly that short laner for Imbaboy here. Whoa, okay. They're not really known as an Oogie team.
No, they're not really.
They've picked it up before.
I do like the pickup here though, because first of all, like Oogie, a great hero. That's that's not really needs to be stated. But secondly, going against a Puppet Master, and Puppet Master is a great is a great carry hero. But normally, the reason why Puppet Master is so good is that you can really almost burst someone down in terms of the Voodoo Puppet. But with like a tanky hero like Oogie, I don't think Puppet Master will be able to drop Oogie from full to nothing with his combo. So maybe perhaps that might be the synergy behind the Oogie pick here.
Yeah. That is interesting. Yeah, I want to say pretty much Tree and of course Nullstone Gaming are the only two teams that actually are known to play the Yogi here in what is on Tour Season 3. So Reason Gaming going to get their hands on it, and definitely a little bit I'm sure of, well, it's working for other people, let's try it ourselves. Although Quincy pointed out the stat yesterday, it's really working for Nullstone. I mean, even with their loss yesterday, he's overall still a pretty good record with it, because outside of when Nullstone runs it, it has something like a 1-5 record, I think, or something like that. So not to say it's not going to work here absolutely for Reason Gaming, but it goes to show you, not every just because it works for one team doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone else by any means. As well, but as you pointed out, perhaps makes sense here for them, even if they've never really played it before. So,
yeah, I just think because normally you get like Assassin's Shroud on Puppet Master, and normally with that kind of farm, like 15 to 20 minutes, Puppet Master can easily burst down the enemy carry. But with Oogie, I don't think they're going to be able to do that because he's a little bit too tanky. So, can be a decent pickup in that respect.
Yeah.
Here comes the 5-man, perhaps though. Trio.
Both teams. Both teams
wondering if they're going to run an aggressive tri-lane from Tree, because like we saw last time with with Oogie, he was only good if he got a lot of farm. Obviously, the last time we saw against the Oogie, he got didn't get any kind of farm and had a lot of issues. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the case or not. And I mean, it does look like Tree are definitely sort of set up here, and perhaps they're going to put Kraken bottom. They sort of, I think they try to bait the bubbles in terms of top. So they try to sort of bait Reason, saying, oh, there's going to be a Suicide Bubbles, it's going to be a Suicide Bubbles, but now they're going to run a tri-lane top, and I guess this could work. They're going to shut down the Oogie, and also, obviously, it's against the Solstice as well, and obviously, the hero can get quite aggressive, but he's going to be predominantly in the jungle for most of this laning phase. So I think Tree have done the right strategy here.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I think that's very important. Yeah, no doubt that's what Tree was thinking. They're like, we're going to make them assume that Bubbles is up here. That's why he played so aggressive at the beginning. Got them that information, and now exactly, they're going to run the tri-lane instead. Bubbles going to end up mid. So this 100% is going to throw off Reason Gaming at least a little bit, and you look at how the lanes are setting up. Of course, it should be to the advantage of Willow Keeper, at least definitely. At this top side right here. With the 3 versus 2, really. Solstice sure is here, but he's going to be way after the side, at least initially, doing a little bit of farming over there until he probably realizes, what do you do if you're Reason? So now that you see that this is the case, can you make the exchange, or do you kind of have to deal with it for the time being?
I mean, to be fair, there's no way else they can really rotate, because whenever you have a jungler, like you're almost forced to have quite passive lanes. Tree, they can obviously rotate up lanes however they want, because the 2 roaming supports can go wherever they want. But for Reason, the only one who can really rotate will be the Empath. I think Empath should definitely rotate whether mid or bottom, because at the moment she's just going to be leeching experience here and or have a chance to feed, for example. Solstice has to be in the jungle, otherwise he won't be useful. And they've just got to sack the lane against Oogie, which is, I know it's a hard thing to do, but there's nothing else they can really do. Talking of Oogie, he might have been in a little bit of trouble actually here.
Yeah, there's the double stun. One more to come out with the puppet show. You see the wall off. Will it be enough for Empath? Oogie, she's kind of running around it. I guess she got blocked right there by the heroes, though. And in the end, she falls down. So exactly what you're talking about. He had to play passive. He went. I mean, he wasn't even really that far up, to be fair. I mean, he just simply was kind of, right here next to where, of course, the entrance from the jungle is on the Hellpoint side. And sure enough, that happened to be where Torture and Blacksmith, basically where he is right now. So that was just simply good heads up by Tree, figuring that they had a chance right there, and of course executed really flawlessly in the sense of staggering their stuns. And not much Imba Boy could do. So, yeah, it's especially now with the Bloodlust kill. I mean, again, it's one of those cases. This is like, I don't want to be here, but as you're pointing out, really doesn't have much of a choice, as they are going to do a creep pull at least. But even now, Oogie needs to be pretty careful. You already see the supports kind of roaming over and going to at least attempt to box him out right here.
It makes the most amount of sense though, because what they've done is that they've tried to shut down Oogie because, like we saw before, the one game that Oogie had a bad time, obviously the Nullstone versus the Reason game, is when Oogie got very, very little farm. Tree always try to sort of shut down Oogie as much as possible, but Reason they can't rotate up lanes outside of the Empath, and that's what they're doing now. They're going to rotate Empath down bottom, probably the best lane, because obviously Magnus plus Empath is better than probably Empath plus Chipper in that respect. And they've just got to try and get as much experience on Oogie and make sure he doesn't die again. Unfortunately, there's nothing else they can do because they run a jungler, and when you run a jungler, you're quite passive and sort of quite what's the word I'm thinking of? You're quite stagnant in their lanes.
Yeah.
They can't rotate lanes up because Solstice has to farm the jungle. Whereas the two supports from Tree, they can go wherever they want. They don't have that must thing they must do kind of thing.
Well, Quizzic kind of pointing out that stat right there. And, overall, it doesn't seem like Trilate's it's as well. Actually, bottom lane Kraken. Going to take some good pressure right here. You mentioned Empath rotating over. That she does. She has a wall off. She's waiting for the charge. There is the charge, but not able to get in range to actually put off a good wall right there. So good getaway in the end by Kraken. But, as we just saw even yesterday by the same Willowkeeper team, they ran the trial lane against Sync, and it just completely backfired. Now, granted, that was against a dual support Sync, exactly, who actually manned up with the trial lane themselves. They kind of called that. So that's where you could say that's where Reason Gaming maybe a little bit at fault there, and Tree taking advantage of that opening and having much better chance as a result here.
I mean, they were against Warbeast as well, though, which that hero automatically
yeah.
wins like trial lanes practically for you. So. But no, I think you're right. But I think this honestly shows kind of good resilience from Tree. Like, sometimes you get teams that, one thing goes wrong from whether it's like a hero pick and they don't ever play it again. But in this respect, they're confident with their ability to run tri-lanes. They're confident in what should work, and they're sticking to it, which I think shows good resilience from the team character.
Mm-hmm. You got Torture and Blacksmith again playing pretty safe right here. As, or at least trying to maybe wait for that opportunity of Oogie just stepping up a little bit too far, but once again, it seems like Imba Boy here playing fairly passive in the end. I do kind of want it's kind of one of these cases we mentioned with Beaver Banger how he likes to go that Q. We've talked about it as far as the tar pit. Maxing that out first. A lot of people you can debate it in terms of more comfortable factor. Should he go maybe the conflagrate? In this case, I almost want to say the conflagrate probably makes a little more sense. I mean, you're not going to be going for any kills, I wouldn't think. At least, especially with how things are set up. And as I say that, you see they're going to be kind of boxed out right here. As Chipper middle lane, though, is going to be fine. But yeah, no, they're going to chase at this top lane. They want to go for Oogie. There's the stuff for Solstice, though. And actually, all of a sudden, Puppet Master taking some good damage right here. And Impalement's going to be activated. Solstice, he's going to start falling. But Torture also getting low. And Torture may end up going down. Yes, he will. So good hold right there. Actually coming out by Reason Gaming. And well, I mean, the Darkquake did come into play right there from Oogie, and it still actually may do something. Puppet Master should be fine. I mean, Steam Boots, I don't see them actually getting a kill right here. Yeah, he's a little too tanky at this point, so Oogie, I don't know if Oogie should dive, man. Yeah, he might be in trouble. Hold comes out. Torture going to be coming in. He throws out the stun. He's got another impalement. Oogie may be diving a little bit too far. No, the creep wave's coming in now. Empath, however, also falling low. Jeez, one more auto attack. And that could have been a kill on here. But everyone survives, at least in the long run there. The way that ended. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, although I think you are right to some extent, but obviously in that case, Tarquake was useful. But not only that, but if you level up the Tarquake, like he can use the Tarquake just to get last hits, obviously. But if he sort of starts maxing the conflagrate, he won't be able to use the Tarquake from range to get last hits because it's going to be too weak in that respect. So I still think it's pretty decent in that respect, what kind of skill build he's done. And obviously now Solstice is starting to get higher levels. He can have an impact in the lane, as we saw there. So I think it's still a decent idea. But again, I think it goes down to personal preference in terms of what kind of item builds. But just in terms of raw theory crafting, I think Tarquake might be a little bit better.
Yeah, no, that makes sense there. Just it's fun to point out. And again, one of
No,
those
yeah,
kind of cases of could see either way ultimately, but yeah, it makes sense there. Kraken bottom lane. I believe that was a Baldraw initiation from Solstice. He's going to charge away with Magnus, but unfortunately the Eruption doing some good damage in the process, and yeah, the hero blocking on top of that to ultimately secure the kill. So Zan once again, as he tends to do, making some pretty solid plays right there, and ultimately helps set up a kill on a Kraken.
And Nir's doing a great job, honestly. He realizes, okay, guys, we're not having a great laning success because we picked this jungle Solstice, but he's trying to get active. He's got level 6 now. He's obviously rotated top, got a gank now, rotated bottom, get a gank now. He's actually looking to go perhaps mid as well. And this is the person that is going to create space for the Oogie to get back into the lane. Well, here comes the Solstice actually mid lane. Bubbles.
He's channeling it up, but no, Bubbles kind of sees it right there, and he actually goes just to the side. He dodges the rocket bombard right there, actually, with that take cover, and he has an invis rune on top of that. Look at this. He's just keeping them in place and almost toying with them to an extent. So great getaway, though, from Boxy. Ultimately able to escape everything. So, yeah, I like the idea for reason, but, of course, Boxy just a little bit on his toes too much and able to avoid death. He's actually going to sit on Solstice right here. And, yeah, he's got the supports coming over. Solstice in a lot of trouble right now, and he has absolutely no clue. Boxy's taking some damage to the Illuminate here. It's not the most damage, though. It's not the biggest deal. He's going to open with a Song of the Sea, most likely. Put the silence out. Nope, Shell Surf actually going through, doing some damage. And Solstice is, yes, he is going to fall.
You see, he body blocked him as well, and there's actually Puppet Master might be in trouble though.
A little bit. Magnus, he's got another stun in 4 seconds. Not gonna risk the dive though.
But yeah, that was actually a really nice body block from Bubbles there. You see, he shell surfed and then took the pathing out of Solstice, so he completely boxed him in. Torture was behind him, and then Bubbles was in front, and he had nowhere else to run. So nice little play there coming out from Boxy, but. Still, though, I mean, Nirishna are still in a decent position, but it's all going to be reliant on this Solstice, though, because he's the only one that can really rotate and make the ganks happen. Because Empath's too low level to have an impact, and kind of Chipper and Magnus, as well as Oogie, have to stay in their lanes, otherwise they're going to be too far behind in terms of golden experience. So it is all going to be on this Nir in terms of the early laning phase to have an impact in the playmakes and the tempo controlling.
Yeah. 8.5 minutes in right now. Again, 2-2 hero kill game. It is a 1,300 goal lead here for Willowkeeper, but overall, fairly back and forth as expected. You got Puppet Master and, of course, Kraken, though, actually leading the way even despite that death. He's level 8 on top of it. So, yeah, Kraken doing a very good job with that creep farm. Again, being 0-1-0, the fact that he's the top farmer in the game really says something right there. So good job on his part. You also see Quincy kind of pointing out right there, Boxy in the middle. He's not used to playing the middle, but in the games they happen, he's 4-2 overall for his team. And obviously with the setup here, it just made sense for what they wanted to accomplish. So he's off to a solid start himself, including that hero kill that he got. Chipper taking some damage, but not nearly enough for anything to be really too worried about. How's Oogie been doing overall? As you would expect, not the best. 178 gold per minute here. Death also not helping in that circumstance. They almost want to set something up, though. Solstice does have his ultimate. It is nighttime, of course, so it would actually put the fear effect out as well. And, yeah, he's going to start channeling it right here. Puppet Master is going to get caught by it. Some good damage coming out initially. Will it be all enough in the end? Tarquake's going out. You see the Primal Surge is up, but it's not nearly enough. Or is it actually? The wall off on a Puppet Master. They're going to be forced to turn things around right here. He pops a Voodoo Puppet. Empath looking to be turned on. Magnus does it. They get the kill on Empath, but at what cost here? Puppet Master, he's barely alive. One more attack. Magnus will finish him off in the end. Oogie off to the side, though. Kraken and Blacksmith chasing him down. The Blacksmith putting out the Flaming Hammer right there. Kraken trying to get the final auto attack off. Finally does with the ring around the Rosie. Dodge chance from Oogie, and the stun on a Blacksmith to finish him off from Magnus coming out as well. Bubbles coming in with the Violent Rod. Chipper has no clue initially. Now he's going to be seen. Does he have a Kelp Field? He does. He's not going to use it initially, though. There's a Shell Surf. He uses that Kelp Field as well as the Song of the Sea. Not enough for the kill, though, on a Solstice, and that allows him to use the bottle charge in the process. Another invis room by Bubbles. Seems like he's stacked with these, and actually Kraken does finish off Solstice with the auto attack. A look at Boxy, man. He's still not finished. He still wants to maybe make something. He wants to go for Magnus with the Shell Surf. Magnus, how much life does he have? 453 is Steam Boost Strength. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
jeez. Is he going to go for it? No. Yeah. He
didn't have enough mana. Yeah, the Song of the Sea was just out. A close attempt. He might be in trouble, actually. Now Magnus has got another stun up in 3 seconds.
Yeah, he actually kind of made a limited misplay, but I'll get that in a second. Bubbles, there's the stun onto him. Boxy, Eruption being channeled. He's not going to be able to get out of range. Take cover. It won't matter. And, well, what do we say? Boxy being Boxy. Chasing a little too far. But yeah, he dropped his ammo of the Exile,
Yeah.
used the bottle, which is smart,
Yeah.
but then he forgot to pick it back up. If he picked it back up, he actually would have had enough mana, so.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have been able to kill him. He only had the level 2 Song of the Sea, so it would have been 1 second silence. It would have been close regardless, but like you said, man, he's in on these aggressive plays. You know, they work or they backfire, put it like that. So.
Jeez, that was a chaotic fight, though, at the top lane. I'm pretty sure everyone ended up being up there in the end.
Yeah.
A lot of back and forth action.
I think it was just a decent trade from both teams. I think neither team came out ahead. I think it's a 4-for-4 trade on either side. And so, yeah, and obviously no buybacks were used, so I think it was just, like you said, a very chaotic fight. And,
yeah.
What else to say?
Middle lane, Puppet Master, kind of almost as if they want to set something up here on a Chipper, but I think Chipper gets a little bit too far back, and no kill field up for Bubbles either, so maybe it's just simply a rotation here from Puppet Master. Looks like he might even make his way all the way to the jungle. By the way, Baltazar is going for a Whispering Helmet, looks like. Once again, not looking to rush in and kind of assassin shot here.
I think this is actually a fine sort of item pickup. The reason being is because, first of all, Tree aren't superiorly behind. They're not like 10 kills behind, and so Puppet Master isn't forced to get active. But second of all, if he picks up the Whispering Helm, now he has a place to farm, which is the jungle. Middle lane is being taken over by Bubbles, and sort of Blacksmith needs to sort of recover in the bottom lane. Top lane is too dangerous for him to rotate top, and that's why the tri-lane has sort of rotated down to the bottom lane. Because, like I said, after like 10 minutes, you simply can't run a tri-lane in the top lane because you'll be out of position for all the time you're in the lane. At level 5, level 6, you're kind of fine, but once it gets to level 8, level 9, you're just too dangerous because it's too easy to get picked off, for example. So it's a good rotation. They're going to put Kraken in the suicide lane now and go on from there. And the Whispering Helm can just allow him to jungle, which is a fun pickup.
Yeah, he's going to get that here eventually, and he's got a lot of build-up, really does. Again, the Grave Locket, the Mystic Vestment, of course, on top of the Steam Boots. Yeah, he's quite the stat filled early on, and once he has that Whispering Helm, that'll enhance his farm, as you're pointing out, that much more, of course. Boxy with that Wild Rot on him currently. We'll see if he finds an opportunity to use it once again here in the near future. Blacksmith level 6, so of course those Chaotic Flames, a.k.a. rolling the dice here, is the chance for multicast coming out as a result of that. So we'll see if Root of Z is able to get an opportunity to have that come to play. And then, of course, Kraken with that portal key. That is coming up. Again, he's had a great start and continues to be on top as well, even above his own team's teammate Puppet Master. And actually, you look at overall gold per minute on recent gaming side. Yeah, really just not the best all around. I mean, it's a pretty even spread, but, Max Farmer being 285 gold per minute, especially at 14 minutes in, usually not the brightest and greatest thing, but at the same time, kind of understandable because of the landing circumstances. But Ogi ideally is going to start recovering more and more, now 280 gold per minute. I wonder what kind of build Imba is going to go for. Will he kind of copy Beaver Bang in a sense? Go for that Gnome's Wisdom perhaps, or he pretty much has the build up for it, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he might be going for it, to be honest. And I mean, to be fair, he has recovered very, very well. When obviously Beaverbanger got it the last game, he got it like 30 minutes into the game, which was obviously not the really timing you really want to get with the item. But I mean, for a going against like a tri lane, he's doing very, very well. Actually, middle lane, the Chipper's going to be falling in the meantime. But I mean, Imberboy has recovered very, very well. He was against a tri lane for like at least 10 minutes, and to recover and have 300 GPM almost is very, very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also, though, a good failed route play by Blacksmith that allowed him to get close enough to Chipper right there to ultimately set up the stun initiation. He actually got a double multicast as well, so that's a roll in the dice for you, and definitely another reason why Blacksmith can actually be a very solid secondary support option, as Tree has been making a note of recently. So they're going to get this middle tower kill on top of it all, and you see that gold lead kind of swinging a little bit more in Tree's favor as a result, about a 2,300 gold lead now. And, of course, Baltazar does have that Whispering Helmet I was talking about earlier. Top lane in the meantime, Primal Surge is up by Ogi right here. He's trying to escape. He does dodge, release crack up on the charge, says, no, you ain't going nowhere still. And the final couple of auto attacks to finish him off. See Bubbles and Blacksmith both coming in to assist right there. And eventually pick him off. So portal key Kraken also, I'm sure, a big reason as to why that kill ultimately took place right there. Onto Oogie. So, yeah, he got the Gnome's Wisdom, as you're pointing out, but right as he does, unfortunately, he falls shortly after. So, Emma Boy really needs to keep that farm going, get that farm enhanced here to give his team the best chance. Portal key is coming out for Magnus with that said. And, of course, that'll prove to be a pretty big pickup for this Hellborn team as well. Solstice, Nier's doing his best to also get that farm up there. Definitely could use that from him, as his start hasn't been the prettiest here. At this point, he's got the steam boots and pretty much not much else. So, what kind of build are you expecting on the Solstice here? Sanitarius, the Abyssal Sculptor, perhaps first, or?
I think. I mean, might even go Abyssals first, just to give him some kind of farming item, and then go in Sanitarius after that in terms of just pure team fighting in that respect. But he hasn't actually sort of spent anything, so I think he might be sort of thinking about it himself. And I think it's going to depend on Reason whether they want to start team fighting now or they want to get a bit more farm up on Uki and Solstice. If that is the case, then they should go Abyssal. But if they want to start team fighting, I think Sanitarius would be the way to go. So it's going to depend on what kind of strategy that Imberboy is sort of telling his team.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what ultimately develops into here. You got Uki at the top lane. Again, it's like he was here before, about a minute or so ago, where he ended up dying. But this time he has that backup here, as you see. Both Chipper and Empath ready to fight if anything breaks out. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And instead, though, they'll kind of just fall back and into the jungle they go. Blacksmith starting off the triple stack Ancients. Him and Torch are going to look to damage them down as much as they can. And see, kind of spread out the farm a little bit, perhaps. Blacksmith does need to be a little bit careful. He's somewhat tanky, of course, especially for being an intelligence hero, but at the same time, gets fairly low right there. But he does survive, and it's going to be fine. I believe I just saw a portal key purchase on Bubbles as well. Yep, that's going to be flying out to him right here. So, as well as, of course, the Steam staff going to be going to Puppet Master. So that Assassin Shroud, as you would expect, going to be coming out around the corner as well. So these impact items are most certainly coming out a little quicker for Tree. And again, with the start and how things have just ultimately been playing out, not too surprising, but the idea will be that they can get even further ahead. However, Portal Key just picked up by Magnus there. So Zane doing a good job of getting that impactful item. And he's also level 11 for that matter. So, yeah, that's actually a good timing in that sense. You know, has a level 2 eruption now as soon as he gets the Portal Key.
Yeah, I mean, we might start to see Tree rotate actually to the bottom lane. Perhaps Tier 1 tower is still up here, and it's probably the easiest tower they can actually look to get. I mean, with Portal Key on Kraken and Portal Key on Bubbles, they have any kind of initiation tool if they want to start taking these team fights. Unless they want to maybe wait on the Assassin's Shroud on Puppet Master and try and maybe gank and then take a team fight. Then take a tower perhaps, because the only issue is with the lineup from Tree, they kind of have to secure kills before they can start taking team fights because they don't have any kind of pushing mechanic. And if they don't have a pushing mechanic, normally they have to commit very heavily onto the tower. And when you commit so heavily onto the tower, when you're against heroes like Magnus and Solstice, you know, the team fight is going to be lost, put simply. So they have to find the pickoff before they start taking a team fight. They are going to rotate over here to the Tier 1 tower, but you know, Magnus is already setting up, and this is what I was talking about. This could be a bit of a disaster if they're not careful. Yeah,
Magnus has to definitely be careful right here. You look at Boxy with a Veldra as well as Blacksmith. They're going in now. You see Empath also coming out nearby. Bubbles, he is exposed, and I think that might have just been from wearing off. Magnus, oh no, they definitely saw him. He stuns in, and Boxy exploded right there. And here comes Solstice as well. Solstice, by the way, the portal key to help him initiate right here. And all of a sudden, Blacksmith is in trouble. He gets a double multicast off, but that just delays the inevitable. So how about that? Solstice portal key. That's that helped get the kill right there.
Yeah, and do you see what I'm talking about the positioning though? But like Bubbles has to go right next to almost the Tier 2 tower up against the Hellborn Agents if they want to take this tower. Obviously they do secure the tower, but I mean with Bubbles and Blacksmith they severely sacrificed their positioning there just to get that tower, and as a result both died. And I think that comes slightly out of a head in terms of Reason, because they're eventually going to lose that Tier 1 tower, but at least they trade it with 2 hero kills. So,
yeah.
I think it was a good play from Reason, and this is what I mean. They need to get a pick off before they can take the tower, and I think they have ways to get the pick off. So they've got Assassin's Shroud now closely picked up on Puppet Master, and the Portal Key and Kraken and Bubbles as well. So perhaps they might try and look for a pick off first before going for the next tower, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like as far as the portal key usage goes, almost as if recent gaming was able to use that a little more impactful despite getting a little bit later now. As I say this, again, Veiled coming out, Tree clearly a fan of the item, and trying to get another gank right here. Yeah, Solstice in a lot of trouble. There's the jump. Bubbles also going in. No chance for Nier to even react to that. That's got to be frustrating. But again, that is the power of the Veiled That's the whole point of the item, and that's why they got the kill, because this Ward of Sight obviously could not see them that whole time. And now Empath, that's a level 7 Empath by herself. Now, of course, if they tower dive, he probably could expect some TPs. In fact, Magma stuns in on a Puppet Master. The Rock Barrage comes out, but no, the Kelphin will cancel the Eruption attempt. And now Magma sends out Fall, and Puppet Master gets low, but not low enough for death right there. However, maybe Solstice comes in. He popped back, by the way. He charges it, gets the kill on a Puppet Master. And now Blacksmith, he's in no man's land. He's trying to get the hell on out of there. Oogie and Solstice both chasing. Does Solstice have another stun? It doesn't look like it, and it's daytime.
Yeah, if that was not, man.
Yeah.
If that was not, that would have been a completely different story. But I think Tree will take that engagement, definitely. They did a 2v2 trade. No, they got a 2-for-3 trade plus the buyback from Solstice. And that's what I mean. They rotated over, killed the Solstice in the jungle, and they were looking to take the tower as the strategy needed to happen. But Reason weren't up for giving away that T1 tower just yet, so they used the buyback on Solstice, which... I mean, I guess if they didn't use the buyback there, that would have been probably a horrible trade for Reason. But at the same time, one more buyback from Solstice, and that is all. And he is going to be a lot sort of delayed in terms of his Sanitarius now, so that's what they'll have to deal with.
Yep. Again, she's going to go that portal key, the triple portal key through. Oh, no, I guess it's just two. I thought Chipper might have had one, but no. So him and Magnus able to get some strong initiations, but yeah, especially with that buyback, as you mentioned, really slowing him down from next tier, more damage-inducing item, perhaps, as a top rune battle. Looks like the Legion team may have got there first, picks it up, and gets away. Back to farming they go. You got the Icon of the Goddess also coming up for Oogie here. He actually just about has it finished. Of course, just needs the Pickled Brain at this point to follow up the Gnome's Wisdom initial pickup here.
I mean, for Tree, though, I mean, like, obviously they're doing decent at the moment. They may be making good engagements and getting good pickoffs, and they're getting good farm. But, I mean, in terms of the late game, I'm really questioning how they are going to address this Oogie. I talked about in the draft how Puppet Master isn't the best sort of hero against Oogie because Oogie's so tanky that Puppet Master won't be able to kill him in a combo from his Voodoo Puppet. And the later this goes on, I think it's only going to get worse and worse for Tree. So unless they get some kind of good trade in the next couple of 5 minutes, it's just going to be dangerous. But here's the trades I'm looking at. Oogie might be in trouble.
She knows something's up, though. And now that's interesting because I wonder if they use the Valdra just a little bit too late right there. They might have, as the Sword Sight. So the Wards that might have seen them as they were starting to use it. And that's why she fell back right there.
I mean, particularly with Veiled Rot nowadays, I have to admit, supports probably have the biggest time to try to adapt because normally you could ward, like quite defensive near your lanes, but particularly with Veiled Rot, I think the best thing that I've seen work quite well is actually warding quite aggressively. If you ward quite aggressively from your wards, then you can always spot out any kind of potential smoke ganks from the other team. And that's what we're kind of seeing here. Quite an aggressive lane ward middle, and most likely did sort of spot out the smoke gank from Tree. So good play coming out from TPS Priceless in that respect.
Yeah. Wall off right here. They get the top tower kill. Ports are coming in. Kraken actually goes in. Solstice with his counter ultimate, though, with that Lunar Judgment. Magnus, a big eruption in the background. Down goes one of Kraken. Torch rolls off falls, and Bubbles, he gets his kill. Aussie somehow stays alive with the tablet over the ledge. Gonna be able to live, and this allows Puppet Master to do free range damage as well as a lot of focus was put on everyone else, and Solstice ends up falling. Here comes Oogie, though, with the tar pit. Not enough damage, however. Primal Surge is not up anymore, so cannot go any further. I guess overall a 3-for-2 exchange in favor of the Hellborn team, and they take out the tower kill, so definitely a one fight right there for a reason, but at least Puppet Master did live, and Bubbles somehow got away as well.
And that could have been so much worse for Tree there. This is one thing with Tree, man. Like they play great in the laning phase. They have good strategy, good draft, but some of their team decisions and their execution in team fights is sometimes abysmal. They 5-man TP'd onto a tower when they're going against a Magmus and Solstice. It was the most easiest initiation from both Solstice and Magmus. They could, you saw Solstice channeling the ulti up against all 5 of them there, and the Magmus eruption hit 2 or 3, I think, as well. And like when you TP into sort of these great AoE ultimates from the enemy team, you're going to have a bad team fight, put simply. They try to have a good setup with Kraken, but he had a poor initiation as well. Didn't get any kind of charge. I think he tried to go onto the Empath, but Empath instantly jumped into the Solstice. And yeah, the team fights from Tree just have to be a little bit more sort of clinical in that respect, because they seem a little bit too chaotic for their own good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Exactly. It could have been pretty scary for Tree, so the end result, even though they came out on the losing end, technically, it could have been much, much worse, possible genocide. Definitely. If things just really lined up for Reason Gaming. So it's one of those cases. They could be overall fine with how it played out, and now you got the Mighty Blade and Puppet Master, so of course Shrunken Head going to be following suit. That's kind of those Holy Trinity items that is so powerful on a hero like Puppet Master. And it really gives him, really makes him that strong mid-game carry, and then eventually, of course, the late game. God, Willowkeeper, though, they are just loving this Veiled Rot here. I mean, This is ridiculous.
Utilize Rot. If you utilize the Veiled Rot effectively, you can like be one of the best teams.
Yeah.
That's what Fusen said to me. He said the best team is the team that utilizes the Rot the best, and I guess he's trying to do it now.
Oh,
Empath.
jeez. Yeah, they're going to get Empath. Just no chance. All of a sudden, the whole freaking team's on top of her. I mean, it's just like, what do you do there? You can't do anything. Oh, jeez. That's just good play by Tree. Exactly. If whoever's going to use it actively and use it correctly. And, last weekend, again, we saw people use and everything, but it feels like, especially in this match, they're using it pretty damn effectively. They're using it, to really get around these Ward of Sights here, and it's clearly working against Ruzin.
Definitely. But I mean, at the same time, the last matchup with Trees, that they got dominated so hard in the laning phase that they couldn't utilize the Rot almost. They didn't have the ability to sort of do it, so they were on the defensive. Now I think they came up equal, if not ahead, in the laning phase, and as a result, they can control the game, and that's what they're doing here with the Veiled Rot.
Yeah, Solstice top lane up here. Gonna farm up the jungle a little more. Again, she's overall farm hasn't really 300 gold per minute. Actually, not doing too shabby. 3, 4, and 6. So it's been very involved. Again, that buyback though definitely setting back a little bit, understandably so. Okay, got that portal key first. So as far as stats go, not really the best, but is picking up a mighty blade into an eventual shrunken head perhaps. At this point, they maybe looking to set something. No, those are just illusion bubbles. Never mind. That would be really awkward if that was the case. So. Yeah, you see bubbles right there, usually with a pretty good farm, especially with farm that he has right here. Usually a good thing for his team, 18-3 overall record, when he happens to be 350 plus gold per minute. So Foxy here doing his work. There's the Shrunken Head pickup on Puppet Master, though, and that's when you know Tree's going to be very confident in terms of maybe starting to get some pretty heavy pushes now going as the secondary towers are all up here.
Yeah, I mean,
Hellborn.
if you look at it, Reason have predominantly magic damage. Like, even Oogie, when he scales into the late game, he doesn't do a lot of physical damage, honestly. It's more about the magical. So these Shrunken Heads are going to be very, very useful. And Solstice isn't really hitting too hard or isn't being a massive physical threat. So I definitely think True will have a nice, strong power curve in the next couple of minutes when Kraken picks up his Shrunken Head as well. They might start even looking to get the tier 2, if not Conga as well.
30-minute mark is when that daytime hits again. So, again, just a kind of thing to note with the Solstice in the game. That currently night vision, but going to be switching over to daytime. And so, the biggest difference there is, of course, won't have that fear effect, aka stun in a sense on that ultimate. But at the same time, it has a stun with a charge. As, of course, the nighttime you would not. So, obviously, there's give and takes there with the abilities and how they work right there. Blacksmith, I got to assume he's working on a portal key himself. He has 2,100 gold saved up, so he's actually just about there at this point. And again, for a secondary support, seems like Rude as he usually tends to do. Overall, doing not too shabby. Only 200 gold per minute, but still, kind of getting the core in a sense. Wouldn't be surprised to see a tablet either, of course, as usual. And in fact, against these heroes over here on the Hellborn side, that also would be out of the question, but for more initiation purposes.
Yeah, I think Portal Key is just a little bit more superior in that respect. Tablet is always good, particularly against like Chipper and Oogie, because they rely so much on sort of slowing the enemy team and sort of being able to sort of sit on top of them. But obviously the tablet is just better in terms of giving your own teammates better positioning, for example. But in this case, I think it'd be nice to have Kraken Portal Key onto someone and instantly burst them down alongside with a Blacksmith. As well, so yeah, I think he might even go for a back after a tablet as well, but I think Porky just a little bit more prioritised in this matchup. Yeah.
Now, this is actually kind of a curious question I got. Veiled Rot, can that be shared for somebody else to use? It's a consumable, so I assume so.
Yeah, you can buy it for other people.
So yeah, exactly. So that's what I was kind of getting at. Do you think that might be a strategy that some teams are developing, or is just everyone independently buying their own Veiled Rot here?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, honestly. The reason being is because I think the biggest issue with Veiled Rot, obviously, is that it takes up an item slot, honestly. And I've been playing a lot of in-houses, and that's what a lot of the top players sort of having to deal with, particularly when it gets into the mid to late game. Like, if you look for Puppet Master, he'll have to either drop like his Grave Locker or his Vestments. And you could definitely do it, but it's just having that awkwardness to sort of do it and then pick it back up again. Like, if you take a team fight without one of those items, like, it can be quite devastating, particularly when he has like 6 slotted items. Do you want to be in a potential team fight without one of those? It's kind of one of those things. But no, I think going back to your point, someone else is an okay idea. I think it's probably more utilized and more useful in terms of the early game, because obviously 100 gold in the late game is like, it means nothing to some of these cores. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, an early 100 gold for one of the supports means so much. So I think in theory it could work, but in practice I don't think it's really ever going to work, because the gold is either too expensive for an early game support or not even bothered in terms of the late game because of the cores I've got full item slots.
Well, here we go again. Veiled Rod coming into play. Solstice has absolutely no clue they're coming, and there's the initiation. Triple multi-gas coming out right there. That guarantees what probably was an absolute kill anyway. So that gold being invested, man, I want to say the overall it's paying off here.
Well, they dodged this ward over here, the top rune ward. So,
they walked right past it. That was, and that's also to the credit of Tree not only for using it, but being aware because they used it basically at this observatory right here is where they used the Veiled Rot, figuring okay, there's a good chance there's a site here, and that's allowed them to do what they just did right there. So
utilizing the Veiled Rot.
Yep.
As any good team should, but I think particularly for Tree as well, like they predominantly run secondary supports, and when you run a secondary support like heroes like Blacksmith or Behemoth, you have a bit more of a better ganking potential than a lot of the junglers. Obviously, Solstice might be a slight exception, but like you compare it to sort of Tempest or Ophelia, you don't really think of them as ganking heroes, but with like a Blacksmith or Behemoth, you kind of do in that respect, and particularly with the portal key pickup from Blacksmith. When you run a secondary support, Veiled Rot is very, very important to utilize. Otherwise, a jungler would just be simply better. But Tree, utilizing all the tools at their disposal, doing well with it.
Yep. Again, it's good to see there. 2,900 gold saved up by Puppet Master, so he's looking for his next bigger and better item, now 3,000 plus. We'll see what that ends up being here. Definitely has many options as usual, and at a case like this, is there any that's screaming to you, or is it whatever you feel like he's comfortable with here?
Sorry, for who?
For a Puppet Master, that would be.
Puppet Master. I think they need damage to take down this Oogie, so I think Savage Mace would be a decent way forward. He's got the Dragon Head in terms of any sort of defensive capabilities. So like he's got ways to deal with like the Magnus and the Chipper, initiation and their kind of damage, and I just think he needs raw physical damage to deal with this Oogie. He could even pick up the Hellflower as well. I think Hellflower and Savage Mace is the only necessary items. Hellflower would be good because obviously sort of stops Oogie from healing up because obviously silences, for example, and Savage just for the raw damage.
Bottom lane, they set up a kill on Embry right there and ultimately pick him off. Now I don't know if that was again Veiled Rot coming out, if that was just simply portal key initiation, but either way, down goes Embry playing the chipper, of course. So good jump on him. And again, as understandably so, it was still being a very new item, and this is the first cycle it's been developed with the Veiled Rot. I'm going to talk a lot about it. Another discussion to be had is, as we're seeing, there's some kind of good points being brought up, how, on a kill like, say, one that they got an empath where they went into the Hellborn Ancient, they basically surrounded her, they killed her with the Veiled Rot. 4 of the 5 heroes had it, so you figure right there, that's 400 gold that they spent to kill an empath.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where, it was that really worth it? I think there's also the argument, though, of the idea that if you're constantly using Veiled Rot, if anything, you're keeping the other team kind of playing a little bit more passive. The Nymphora effect as we kind of go back to, so
it's all about mind games, exactly. And also, like for example, if they take 2 or 3, like it's the risk reward kind of factor. Yeah, okay, they only got an empath, but they could have got more kind of thing. They could have got 2 or 3, and if they get those 2 or 3 heroes, then they could be Kong, that could be the tier 2 tower. So I think, like you said, it's one of those risk reward things, and in that case, it didn't pay off effectively, but still was decent enough to sort of force them to play defensively.
Yeah. And then, of course, it's the after effect of, well, that one guy's dead now, so now the other team's even playing that much more passive as a result of that. So, yeah, obviously that'll be a discussion that'll continue to be had, and as more time goes on, we'll see, different teams at least testing it and using it, but no doubt Willowkeeper is a very, very clear fan of it. And they are just continuing to invest into it as a result. I mean, again, you see the inventories right now, and every hero except Puppet Master has at least one Veiled Rot. Hellflower is the option.
So he's going to have
Puppet.
fun.
All right.
Hellflower or Savage Mass.
Yep.
I mean, he most likely he was going to go for both. I just wondered which one he would prioritize first. And probably Hellflower makes a little bit more sense earlier on than it is a Savage Mace, because the Hellflower is just decent, not only against the Oogie, but also against like Magnus and Chipper, for example. You can instantly burst them down solo. I'm almost guaranteed that he'll go Savage Mace either next or as a 6th item kind of thing, but we'll have to see.
Whoa, did Boxy really just get a full? No, he's trolling. He didn't have that much gold saved up, did he? I just saw him right click a sheep stick.
Yeah, so did I. I saw that as well. That must just be the oh no, that is a full, yeah, it's a full sheep stick.
Oh my god,
there's no I was like, wait a minute, there's no recipe.
He's farming 400 gold per minute. That's true, yeah. Blacksmith, in the meantime, in the bottom lane, I'm so caught up with that, looking at the well, but he obviously gets caught out. Good find by Reason Gaming right there. Happened to catch him out on his own side at the bottom lane. Now with Blacksmith dead, actually, he doesn't have a buyback or anything like that. Not that would have been that impactful here, but about 36 minutes in, Reason Gaming is going to pretty comfortably push the secondary tower, it looks like now, as well. Now, he still doesn't have the actual sheepstick on him. I thought he was back a bit. Oh, no, that's a courier. It's actually delivering it to him up here. Okay.
Yeah.
So he will pick it up here, but...
So now they've got the Hellflat and the sheepstick to deal with Oogie. I mean, and Oogie's actually gone for a shrunken head. Like, the one thing that I never ever see Beaverbanger do is go for a shrunken head. If he's going to go any kind of defensive items, it will be the Nullstone. But going the shrunken head, I don't know, it doesn't utilise... It's not very a great synergy with the hero. Kind of similar with like Gemini. Like you don't always want to go shrunken head if it's possible, because it doesn't synergize great with the hero.
Yeah, the idea that you just wanted to build more tanky, like a Frost
tanky plus
or
like tanky
even.
or like int kind of thing. And,
yeah.
And also seeing as like Tree have ways to deal against the shrunken, most notably being the sheepstick and the Hellflower. Like the hero, the item seems even more worthless kind of thing, because like if you get sheepstick or Hellflower, shrunken's going to do absolutely nothing compared to what like a Frostfield plate could do for you, for example.
Yeah.
That's the one issue I've got with it. But, I mean, still an okay item, I guess. There is a lot of magical damage as well as control here from Tree. It just depends, obviously, if you can get the shrunken head before the initiation comes up from Bubbles, which is a lot easier said than done, so we'll have to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still can't get over the fact that Bubbles box is just farming so well, man. 420 gold per minute now. 14 more 100 gold saved up, already having a portal key tablet and a freaking sheepstick on top of that, so... safe to say he's looking to have a high impact here for him to see. But look what Willowkeeper's doing once again. They're all surrounding Puppet Master with the Failed Rod. So, again, another 400 gold being used here in a sense. We'll see what kind of impact it does have in this case here. Looks like about 15 more seconds remaining on it. But, man, look at Reason, though. They have no interest. I mean, they see Puppet Master at least somewhat kind of pushing, and they figure, okay, well, yeah, they're probably nearby. There's a good chance. It's going to be wearing off very shortly right here. They're going to run into them, though. Here we go. Empath's going to be jumped on initially. Sword Spirit comes out. That will save. Charge misses in the background. Empath is still alive. She gets it, her hero, in the long run. Torture's picked out. Kraken now in trouble, and Kraken going to end up falling most likely. The rest of the team just falls back. Puppet Master really wasn't close enough to them anyways. So that was just a really, really bad initiation by Willowkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, Tree. I think that's honestly Tree's biggest weakness is probably maybe their initiation and their team fight. Like there was a couple of things that went wrong there. First, obviously, Puppet Master was nowhere near the team fight. But secondly, they blowed their load completely onto the Empath, and like Empath instantly just jumped inside Solstice, and all the damage they did onto Empath was completely nullified because of that. And then also, Kraken missed his charge and his initiation. It was a very chaotic team fight. That Tree again just didn't really execute it properly, and as a result, Reason just really took control of that team fight eventually, and Noogie just popped the shrunken head and did so much damage, and now they're taking Concord, so
that's going to be a Concord kill, and no chance of an injury or anything like that. Oogie will very likely, of course, be the one to pick this up. So yeah, in a sense, kind of a defensive build here, but overall by Reason Gaming, we stressed on Oogie's shrunken head, but remember, you got the Solstice shrunken head, the Abyssal on top of that. You got, of course, what was
Storm
it?
Spirit
Storm Spirit on Chipper. Yeah, we saw use that last fight, and ultimately kind of set things off really right there. So it's something that Tree's going to have to really deal with now in this game some way, somehow, against Reason Gaming. So, yeah, good play on their part, though, picking up some items that are clearly throwing off Tree a little bit, at least. Not having Puppet Master, though, again, obviously another crucial part of that fight. He wasn't up in the front lines like the rest of the team right there, and he doesn't have that mobility other than the quick assassin try to use to try to get there, but was just simply too far away once again. Warhammer picked up by Bubbles. I assume that's going to be a Shrunken Head himself.
I don't know, man. It probably might be Savage. It might be Savage or a Thunderclaw.
Maybe, actually. Well, I don't know.
Boxy, man, Boxy loves Thunderclaw. I'm not even joking. But, like, he.
Well, first off, it doesn't make Thunderclaw anymore, remember? So there is that issue about why it probably wouldn't be a Thunderclaw. I mean, he still could go Thunderclaw, but.
No, it must. I think if you're going to go Shrunken Head, though, you pick up the Mighty Blade first. So I think it's going to be Savage.
Yes and no. I mean, at the same time, he's also pretty evasive already, and we see players do this where they just like the damage, a little bit of damage addition. So
I don't know. Like whenever you see someone build Shrunken Head, the first time they go is Mighty Blade, just because. I don't know. I guess it could be, but my bet's on Savage Mace.
Yeah, no, I definitely would have put it out of the question though. For one, being boxing, but that's two. It definitely would be very solid here. It's something. The right click threat. We're talking about the Shrunken Heads and everything, and having more of that right click threat damage.
The The only problem is, like, I mean, Shrunken Head on bubbles is fine, but you need to be a threat before you pick up Shrunken Head kind of thing. And he's like, he would jump in Sheepstick and use his blow his load kind of thing in terms of his combo. And then after that, he doesn't do too much in terms of team fights. But if he picks up the Savage Mace first, then picks up Shrunken Head, he's a threat throughout the team fight kind of thing. So
yeah,
he'll probably pick up a Shrunken Head, but I think after the Savage Mace, and this will be a Savage Mace, but we'll have to see.
Okay, gonna jump on a Kraken right here with the Sheepstick Magnets to follow the burst damage coming out. Kraken will fall. The team support not there in time. Kraken, I mean, it took him a good 4 or 5 seconds eventually to die, but he just got 0 backup, and the lockdown was way too strong right there. So tower kill happening on top of that Kraken. He's not buying back either. That's the biggest reason right now perhaps why they're choosing not to defend this. Bubbles is still middle, in fact. Yeah, they're basically giving it up at this point. And now Puppet Master gets jumped. Can he do anything about it? He pops Stricken at the wall just on the wrong side. If that wall was on the right side, that would be a dead Puppet Master right now as well, but just in front of him. And he's able to evade, but hey, they got what they came for with the racks. I mean, again, just really sloppy play, it honestly seems like, from Tree. But I mean, of course, also great play from Reason, not to take away from them, but jeez. Something.
So Box has gone to Shield
right
Breaker. The reason why he's gone to Shield Breaker so Savage Mace is that the next up-and-coming team fight could be the difference between Reason winning or losing the game, and Shield Breaker is better than just a Slayer from the Savage Mace, and yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
I can assure you he was thinking about going Savage Mace, but in this case it's like, look, I've got to buy something. Shield Breaker is better than nothing. But you know, Reason aren't even going to be pushing anyway, so no big deal in that respect. Shield Breaker is still decent, still gives him some kind of threat in the team fights. So.
Yeah, might as well get it right, but yeah, that just seemed. I mean, for what really is just like, it's almost like that push from Reason was a push where you figured Tree was down by like 15,000 golden experience right now. This is just a very even game. It continues to be as far as stats go. Yeah, they just completely gave it up. Yeah,
exactly. Kraken was just really far up, and this is what I mean, man. Tree, they're a great team. You know, they've got good strategy and they've got great individual skill, but their team fight and just their execution sometimes is incredibly poor, as you just saw it there. Like the Kraken was too far up. Reason saw the opportunity, they killed Kraken. Kraken had no buyback, and they're fighting against Token as well. And you know, Tree are not going to take that fight 4v6 kind of thing, if you include Token as an extra person, which you kind of have to in that respect. So, yeah, just that's the problem when you're that far up and you don't have buyback. That's the kind of stuff that can happen. And Reason are going to go bottom now because they've got top racks. It's always best to sort of alternate between where you push. You don't want to push mid because Tree can push out top and then instantly rotate mid, but pushing out top and then rotating bottom is a little bit of a harder task. So
yeah,
the right play came out from Imberware in terms of if that's the decision he made as a team.
Huh. Wait, so Solstice is 5-0. Anyways, initiation happening right here, Kraken.
Again.
He's gonna be jumped in again. It's deja vu at its finest right there. And you see the backup. I mean, Kelfield does finally come out, but
he's got no buyback.
Team support is way too strong right there. And yeah, once again, no buyback. So it's just like we just saw this, and we're just kind of finishing discussing what happened. And before you know it, it happens exactly the same thing again.
No token on Oogie, though. This could be the chance.
Yeah, that's a good chance. But actually, Magma Stuns in first. Solstice goes in the background. And now Oogie's going in with that Primal Surge up. No, it's not actually up curly, but it doesn't matter. Torch ends up falling. Puppet Master is not able to right-click, really, because he's being chased back. Triple multicast on Oogie, though. Out comes the Voodoo Puppet, and Oogie will fall at the end. Here comes an eruption, though, from Magma's. Puppet Master going to feel that, and he ends up going down. He does have a buyback. He uses it right away. And now Solstice realizing he's in a bad spot. He goes for the TP. He gets Tabata, though, quickly out of it. He cannot do it as a result. Puppet Master, can he get in range? No, he cannot. And still, he will defend the base and defend ultimately the racks right there. So, I mean, long run, Tree actually able to hold. It did cost a buyback though on Puppet. Kraken, of course, dying off the bat. Not really still, again, what Tree was looking for as far as a hold right there.
Yeah, and man, you said it, deja vu, and you'd think Kraken would learn from it, but clearly not. But at the same time, honestly, it's just great capitalization from Reason. I think it's instant Magma stun onto the follow-up from the Sheepstick from Oogie, and it instantly gets him a kill onto Kraken. And like, you wouldn't think Kraken is an easy pick-off, but when you have that Sheepstick ability, you can drop in from full to nothing in that respect. So just good capitalization from Reason, but again, you could easily call out Kraken in terms of his positioning there.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, one item that is going to be really, really useful though, which is going to be picked up now, is the Storm Spirit from Blacksmith. Because if it happens again, Blacksmith from Portal Key in, Storm Spirit onto Kraken, and at least he won't be able to be dropped from full to nothing. Because the Sheep Stick will easily counter out the Sheep Stick. Because obviously the 2-second sort of Storm Spirit will somewhat counter out the 3 seconds Sheep Stick from Oogie. So
yeah, if anything, kind of throw them off.
That's a big item. Yeah, be a really big pickup actually. Again, that's going to rely on Root of Z. Actually, Magnus.
Oh yeah, he's caught up here actually. Hellfire coming out. That's a dead Magnus as a result. Puppet Master, he's showing off his damage potential right there. Again, the Savage Mace in the works. And did he actually just finish it? Yeah, he did. The Double Warhammer coming out. So he's going to have that Savage Mace picked up here and delivered to him. You do got a couple bigger and better items being picked up here. Stab of the Master on Chipper. I don't know if he's had that honestly, but worth pointing out. Brutalizer picked up on Solstice. And Frostfield Plate actually finished on Oogie, who, by the way, also has 7 charges on that Icon of the Goddess. So, Frostfield Plate is definitely one of those, in between. It does make him a little bit tanky, of course, against a physical presence, but also does give him that intelligence. So, you can overall say a pretty good item on him.
Yeah, particularly against the Shield Breaker and the Savage Mace pick up from Puppet Master. Like, normally you pick up Shield Breaker against people that have kind of lowish armor, because obviously it's just a little bit more effective. But with Oogie now, he's got nearly 29, or nearly 30 armor, sorry. So that's going to be very, very useful against the Shield Breaker and the Savage Mace.
Yeah.
So.
All right, looks at the potty break when nature calls break is over. So. About damn time to resume for game number 1. No, overall, pretty good start to today, of course, especially as far as that's concerned, so can't really complain. Again, this is just game number 1, guys. The best out of 3. What's that?
I said a lot better than yesterday.
yeah, we definitely have had our bad days when it comes to the delays and pauses, so can't complain here. Top lane, you see the Assassin Shot on the supporting cast. At least Kraken here has that Veld Rock, going to see if they can find anybody, but...
Look at recent. They're farming us for. Like, they're so afraid of not only the Veiled Rod but from the Shroud from Puppet as well. And I mean, this could give obviously Tree multiple ways back into the game. Obviously, Tree can easily out farm them because Reason are sticking us for. But at the same time, if Tree do take the bait, it could be disastrous at the same time. So, just risk and reward here coming out from Reason. What they're doing.
Exactly. Reason Gaming, Solstice pushing out that bottom lane. Again, we mentioned that Brutalizer pickup on him, and the biggest critique of his earlier on build was that it was more of just an initiator build, not much of a damage build, but now that's really taken place. The Soul's Bulwark on top, again, that Brutalizer, so it's good to see for the likes of Reason Gaming and what they got going on their side. How's that Shield Breaker doing? It's level 2 now, soon to be level 3, I'm sure. Might as well finish that off here. And get that maximum damage potential out as far as the right clicks go and applying that debuff for the likes of especially that Puppet Master, of course, so... Puppet Master has that Savage Mace. Kongor, he's going to be popping up here very shortly, I would think, the next minute or so. And you can see Reason Gaming in that area, so something tells me they have a pretty good idea of when they take a play. Oh, and look at that rune right there. If Kongor pops up now, this could actually be big. Or like very, very shortly here, because double damage rune at the bottom.
They don't have any bottles. Oh no, Empath's got a bottle. Yeah, I actually really like this play. Come out from near. Like, you see what, Near initially bought, I never ever see the teams do this, but the one team I used to see do it all the time was Stay Green. Swindle would obviously, when it gets 30 or 40 minutes, he'd have no more room for the bottle. Instead of selling it for 300 gold, he'd give it to his support, and so you're still utilising the 600 gold investment from the bottle. And particularly in the late game, it can be really effective. Now he's got the DD for the 2 minutes, and if they instantly picked up then and there, then they wouldn't have had it for the Kongor. But if Kongor spawns in the next 2 minutes, for example, it's going to be a DD Oogie, and that could have a big impact in team fights. And it's just good utilisation of the resources and tools they have, and so just a nice little play coming out from Reason.
More Veiled Raw play coming out. Bubbles looking for an opening here. Still sitting on the level 2 Shield Breaker, I believe. Yeah, so actually not upgrading it for the time being at least. Maybe he wants to save for the buyback, if anything. Gonna scout things out, see what's going on. But as you see on the mini-map, Reason Gaming just sticking together as a team, being very, very weary of the possibility of Tree as they've been showing this whole game. And again, this is a Reason Gaming team that, in a sense, has a lead. Look at Bubble. Where the hell?
It's warding, yeah.
Okay, it's just going into their base, no big deal.
He doesn't have a TP.
He does not have a TP. I mean, he has plenty of getaways, so not the biggest deal. But
look at this crew literally is just flying. They saw, Reason have definitely saw this. It flew past this ward, and look at the courier. It's like on some kind of mission. Yeah. Oh, courier might spot.
No, that was out of range. Kongor's up though.
Yeah. and they've got the DD though. Look at that.
Yep.
See, nice
Double
little
damage
play.
DD.
It's a small play with the bottle, but it can have a big impact though, honestly. So.
Yeah. So here we go with the damage onto Kongor right here. We'll see if Tree's able to make anything happen with this build. Rot initiation. There's no clue. Kraken goes hammer. This Kraken coming out. Solstice. He is taking a good amount of damage right off the bat as Kongor is still plenty alive in the meantime. Oogie, he chases Bubbles. Bubbles exploded before he could do really anything right there, including a Calfield. Puppet Master also. He gets exploded. Oogie's just way too strong. Double tap for Imbo Boy. Kraken can't do much more. He's going to end up falling. And guess what? Oogie's farmed, and yet again we're seeing why that's a horrible thing for the opposition.
I mean, and this time, like, Tree even had a decent initiation. They instantly bursted down the Magnus. They shut down the Solstice as well, so he can get his ultimate off. But yeah, again, man, Oogie's just too powerful in these team fights. And I mean, I mentioned it earlier in the game as well. They don't have the greatest way of really dealing with the Oogie. Like, Puppet Master can't really go toe to toe with him because he doesn't have the greatest sort of carry potential. Like, the thing about Puppet Master is that he's not the best hard game carry. But the reason why he can carry is that he can burst the other carry hero down before they can do anything, but in this case he can't burst Oogie down because he's too damn tanky, put simply. And I mean, there is a slight weakness if this did go late, and for reason it has gone late, and Oogie, man, is just showing its strength once again.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Obviously team support definitely, but I mean it's just how quickly he killed Bubbles, and I'm pretty sure it was by himself. Obviously the double damage weren't even helping on top of that, but yeah, Bubbles just did nothing that fight. Again, literally nothing in the sense, no kelp field or anything. So that's obviously a crucial mistake, even you could say, or in a sense, just great crucial catch there by Reason Gaming, preventing that from happening. So safe to say, Reason Gaming in a very, very comfortable spot now. They got the token. They obviously have had the top set of racks already destroyed. Now the bottom, it's still up for the time being. They weren't able to get all the way in there, of course. With that said, so there's kind of that hope for Tree, definitely. I mean, again, Puppet Master is still very farmed, and if he's able to kind of get in a good spot with a little bit better initiation from his team, then he will dish out plenty of damage himself. So,
yeah, I mean, I think there's only a couple of things that I think there's actually two things that Tree can perhaps get back into this game. One is I think Harkon's Blade. I think Harkon's Blade would be really, really good against Oogie. He's only got 5 magic armor, and the Stronger Head is very, very low as well. So as long as Battlezar is decent in terms of the toggling, that could have a big impact against Oogie. And the other one is Doombringer. Put simply, I don't think Battlezar will be able to farm it in time because this could be the death push, but that would be one item to really get them back into the game because they're in dire straits at the moment. If they lose this team club breaky, they're most likely going to lose the game. Yeah. So.
No, I guess it starts with Kraken not getting caught here. Seen that happen back-to-back, into the base fight. So you see right now, Kraken's really far back. He's making sure that's not going to be the case and giving his team the best chance to actually jump in and be able to do something with that. So, I mean, again, we saw the power of Oogie. We've seen it before many times. And it's one thing, it's so difficult to kill, but now with the token, of course, that makes it that much more difficult. And the greatest thing, too, is that the Primal Surge, it's a very short cooldown. It's actually, here comes the jump. Solstice in the background. That's going to be their go-to target, it looks like, but out comes the Storm Spirit. It's expected. Puppet Master with that voodoo puppet. Solstice tells Malpa, look at Puppet Master. Oogie's on top of him, and Puppet Master cannot get away. Oogie, once again, just way too strong. Double tap coming out. He's going for the hat trick. He very likely may get it. No, he says, screw it, I'm going for the racks instead. That's the important building. Now, it is just Oogie and Empath, so in a sense, Tree does do what they were trying to. They pick off the supports, but now they have an Oogie with a token of life to deal with, and guess what? That is very, very, very difficult, as we're seeing here. It will be a double multicast coming up. But again, as I just was mentioning too, the Primal Switch cooldown, it's so low, it's already back up, and he used it early on in that fight, so they cannot do anything against that. That's going to be bottom racks, and that could very likely be the game now.
He's got a token as well. Puppet Master, that was obviously the last team fight was his final buyback. He has no more buybacks. They're going to try and defend. That's the only thing they can do, but I don't think they can get him.
No, Oogie's going to live. There you go. The Primal Surge comes up, and look, they just don't have enough damage, especially without Puppet Master. There's no way they're going to even kill him right here. No, sure, they lock him down, but guess what? It comes up. Okay, they do kill him. Good job. I was actually a little surprised by that. Empath, he does get picked off, and now he doesn't have a Primal Surge, actually. So all of a sudden, maybe it's not as 100% over as I was expecting, but maybe it is at the same time as he finishes off Torture and ultimately does get away. So, again, especially with the lead and where they're at now, sure, him being the sole survivor, not the biggest deal in the world, though, with the overall start. Because now he's also sitting on 6,300 gold, by the way, and something like a right click on a Frostal Skull might be pretty impactful here.
I think Frostwolf will be decent because he's getting kited by quite a bit. That or maybe Hellflower, but I think he needs a bit more, something that's a bit more beefy in that respect. So I think Frostwolf will be decent. It would help him out against all this kiting from Tree, but I mean at this time I think Tree obviously, like, I don't know if they can even come back in this game. Even if they start winning team fights, which I don't think they will, is that they've got 2 lanes of racks on opposite sides of the map, which they simply can't deal with. The only person that can really clear creep waves somewhat effectively is Puppet Master, and I don't think he's really farmed enough to really clear out these creep waves effectively. They try and do for some kind of failed rock gank to try and go for the desperation, but reason they're expecting it though.
You see, kind of, but Solstice is going to be jumped initially, and he's going to be bursted down right off the bat, so maybe expecting it, but not the start they were looking for. Oogie does put the Sheepstick on a Kraken. There's that Storm's Breath, however. And now the Eruption coming out front. Mammoth doing some good damage. Down goes Kraken. Down goes Blacksmith in the process. And Puppet Master has to try to get away. He's going to try to, again, go for the supporting cast, but Bubbles, he has to play the runaway game the whole time. Puppet Master does not have another Sass Trap for 8 more seconds. So he's going to try to run the best he can. There's a Sheepstick catch, though. And now Puppet Master, he may fall victim very likely. He has an Assassin Shroud. Will it be enough? No, it won't. He ends up going down, and again, just like before, does not have a buyback. So the desperation move coming out from Tree right there, as we mentioned, but it seems like Reason Gaming, yep, there we go. GG, well played. Game 1 will go to Reason Gaming here in the Losers Bracket Finals. What an entertaining game, man. But
yeah, that was a really good game.
Oogie, man. Oogie strong.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there was a couple of things that really contributed to the win. First of all, I've got to say that Tree, they were very effectively using the Veiled Rot, and that's the thing that was really keeping them in it. But the laning phase with Oogie, like they initially run an aggressive tri-lane against him to try and shut him down, to try and lock him down. But I don't know how Imberboy did it, but he bounced back perfectly. Like he had nearly 300 GPM while he was going against an aggressive tri-lane, which is fantastic. And he eventually got his farm on, and there was a couple of bad team fights coming out from Tree. Most notably, obviously, Kraken getting initiated on and losing their top and then bottom racks, respectively. And there was one Veiled Rock gank that really didn't go well either for Tree, and as a result, Reason they capitalised. But again, if you don't shut down the Oogie, that's what can happen. And even though they tried to do an aggressive tri-lane, it just didn't happen because Imberboy had a great recovery farm. So congratulations to them. But game 2, I think there might be an Oogie ban in the waiting, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, game 2. That's going to be a fun game, too, especially starting with the draft, of course, as it tends to be. How about that? TPS Price is a little bit troll there at the end. Empath finishing with a Nullfire Blade.
No, it's a good item. Honestly, no, it's a good item because look, he's fighting against Hellflower and Sheepsticks, and the Nullfire can purge both of those.
Okay, yeah, it's something. But I know he had a Blessed Orb even earlier, so something tells me he kind of just bought it. But you're all right, though. It actually does have capabilities.
And he can jump inside and then sort of
use it kind of freely, so that does make sense, though. But anyways, point being, no Reason Gaming, of course, again, too strong and overall taking the victory there. Very entertaining game, though, and excited to see what happens in game number 2. I'm sure you guys are as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We got the Losers Bracket Finals here. Han Tour Season 3 Cycle 6 action coming at you. Our Losers Bracket Finals game 2 going to be coming up next. Again, the winner moves on to play Sync Esports in the Grand Finals later on today. Who will it be? Well, we'll find out. Reason Gaming up 1 game to nothing. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.